there's no one, evidently, there's no one here to approve, to present this, the KPF Family Limited Partnership, which has actually been done, but now we have to redo it because they didn't file everything on time. But I don't think anybody told them they had to present it to us again.
Well, the problem is, we have new members now. Do we, are the same exact people who voted
No,
before?
we definitely have new members, Chris.
Yeah.
And,
Would they be voting on this?
well, after it's presented to us.
I mean, isn't it like it's, because they didn't submit the documents on time, isn't it like it's a brand new?
Yeah, it is.
So
It's a new
anybody can
application.
vote, right?
Right.
This is the one from the spring? Is this, what was-
No, we did it like
October?
a couple of months ago. Yeah, like
It's the
October.
dealership. the car
Oh,
dealership.
yeah, right, hooking up, right, I got it, right. Yeah.
July.
Because
Yeah,
it
it
wasn't
started in
audited.
July. I remember
Yep,
it's proved that that was like in
The
October.
lease is coming due.
right,
Yeah,
July
okay.
4th.
So we can't take any action on it until it.
Nope.
until-
Christine went to call them to come down. So, see what happens.
Okay, well, let's move on and start working on, section 3. And,
Where did we end?
I have us ending on page 37.
In the minutes, it says we ended at item I.
I hope that's 37.
Commercial vehicle storage, 37.
Oh, this is where we talked about only one commercial vehicle not exceeding 1 ton.
Yeah,
Versus
because
11,000.
11,000 pounds.
And it also says 11,000, well, it says 11,000 pounds on page 39 too.
Yeah,
On 39 it is.
The top, very top.
Yeah.
I mean, it should be the same size in both.
Yeah.
It's mentioned both.
Otherwise, it'll be next month.
thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
This one looks like-
Was this, was this in our previous regs?
Which?
The commercial vehicle storage, II?
Yeah. Hold on a second.
I couldn't find it.
Well, there was a section on commercial which is further along in these regs, under outside storage.
Right.
And then the only other place that was ever addressed was under the definition of garage, where they noted that you could have one commercial vehicle, not more than 1 ton in weight. So VV is the other section, that outside storage. So what you see in, I guess it's 1.1, is brand new.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
If you recall the definition of our private garage, is any accessory building used for only the parking and storage of not more than 4 passenger automobiles, except in place of 1 passenger automobile, there may be substituted 1 commercial vehicle, not exceeding 1 ton, if used solely by one residing in the main building.
Which section is that?
The definition section
Oh,
of private garage.
But outside storage starts on page 40 in the old regs. But that's,
But a 1 ton truck is there are 2 ton trucks that anybody can buy.
it's not uncommon for people to have
I know.
a 2.5.
So what should it be?
I think we should make it 2 tons.
It's still a hell of a lot smaller, less
Yeah,
than
11,000.
11,000 pounds, which is
Well, actually, a ton is 2,000, so we're
2,000,
talking about
4.
4,000 compared to 11,000.
11,000, yes.
But it's
It's
common
less.
to have a 2-ton pickup, however, those big pickups is
There
common.
you go.
So make it 2
That's what I'm
tons?
saying. Yeah, so I'll make it 2 ton.
So is that in the definition section under garage, or is that changing?
So,
That would be on page 37,
So where it says 11,000 pounds?
yeah, gross weight, 2-ton gross weight,
so
gross vehicle.
Mr. Google says, a
Mr. Gould?
light truck, Google, says that, a weight, class 1, a light truck is 0 to 6,000 pounds. Obviously, 0 is on the low side. It doesn't show the whole, well, it does show the whole
So
chart.
if a light truck goes up to 6,000 pounds, the limit should be 3 tons and not 2.
Right, I mean, class
What
2
they're
light
talking
truck,
about is the capacity of how much the vehicle can carry. So
Right.
when you say 2 tons, so a pickup truck will weigh 7,000 pounds, but then the capacity of it would be 2 tons on top of that. So that would give you another 4,000 pounds. So that's where you're coming up with the 11,000 pounds that you talked about in the other regulations. That's how I read it.
yeah.
Well, that's interesting. Thanks, Chris.
I mean, this talks about medium-sized truck being 10 to 14,000 or 14 to 16,000. So what you're saying makes sense.
Right.
Yeah,
So
So-
we should leave
We
it
should
at
just leave it.
11,000 pounds.
I think you leave it as it is because, you know, you see a lot of the pickups today that people have, I mean, they use them as everyday vehicles and they're,
That's probably where that number came from.
Didn't know that's what it meant. This starts off, it says under two eyes or whatever it is, parking of commercial vehicles, and then it starts talking about storage. Should it be the storage, parking and/or storage of commercial vehicles may be permitted? Because this is not just parking, but storage. Oops, sorry.
Well, storage and accessory use. Parking is storage.
Parking connotes temporary, storage connotes permanent or long-term.
Well, in 1B below, one commercial vehicle exceeding the requirements referred to above may be parked or stored.
That's why I say the parking, the lead-in should be the parking or storage of commercial vehicles.
So in the very beginning?
Yes, in the very beginning.
Paragraph.
Yeah,
What are you saying? I'm sorry.
yeah, right here. It really should be the parking or storage of commercial,
Parking and storage, right?
or storage and storage. Or storage.
You know, all this screening stuff we've actually gone over before.
Hmm.
think everything else sounds.
They said all vehicle and equipment, this is going to 9, it's on page 39, paragraph F. All vehicles and equipment shall be screened from view, and I'm asking even if it's temporary? What's the purpose of it?
I'm sorry, where are you looking?
Over here, all vehicle and equipment shall be screened from view, and I'm saying even if it's temporary there?
Well, you kind of have to. I mean, because otherwise everyone's going to call everything temporary.
Okay.
I mean, if it's in your neighborhood, you'd want it to be screened. So,
Right.
and this is one of the things we talked about when we were doing the project up on
Okay.
GBA. And you don't want to be looking at cars. But we tried to do it, the trailer thing. Didn't work.
Are we up to places of public worship?
That's.
Why do we care if the front door shall be oriented towards the street where possible?
It's like a deja vu.
What do we care?
Well, the firemen like it there.
The front door?
They like to know where the front of the house is.
No, this is not a house. This is a place of worship.
Or a parish house, or rectory, or parsonage, or convent.
Convents. It's still under place of worship.
No, I understand, but that goes to Jeff's point that the police need to know, or firemen need to know where the front door is so they can easily
Get in.
access
Know where
it,
to go.
find it.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes sense. I mean, they can always come and ask for a special exception if they want.
Right.
It seems to make sense.
Well, this just says where possible. It doesn't say it shall.
There you go.
It's where possible.
I think that's good.
I think this whole thing should be deleted.
Moving along here.
Parking structures, structured garages,
Yep.
1 electrical charging station per 10 parking spaces.
Okay.
Where do we get that from?
Because it's called electric cars, and
No,
it's
but
actually pretty common.
10 per parking spaces?
10
One
parkings.
per 10 parking spaces.
I assumed it was some standard.
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
This stuff's coming from.
My parking garage, they have 4 for about 7 floors of,
Terry, when we did
Parking.
Public Works, and I know we had the 2 charging stations down here where we had to meet some kind of state guidelines for so many parking spots or something, or?
No, we were simply providing for the use of electric cars.
Right.
Yeah, well, this has actually increased over the years because now
Yeah,
there's
I'm
more
just
electric cars.
trying to
so-
figure out, where we came with our number
Yeah.
for the 2 down here. How did we come to that number at the time? Was it a state
That's
type of thing, or did we just, I know they granted us to them, or they didn't give them to us, but
It was a state grant,
it was a state grant, yeah.
and we have to provide free power for 10 years.
Right. To anybody who wants to use it.
The average cost $2, I might add, per charge.
Okay.
And we've since installed 2 at the library.
Oh, okay.
It's a popular thing.
Are we able to keep track of any of that, Terry, through charging, like if we plug in or somebody comes and plugs in, does it? Are we able to track it at all? or
We
anything?
would have had to purchase the data logging portions of that, which was not covered by the grant.
Right, okay.
We put in the conduit for the data logging, just in case.
And this is the accessory dwelling units.
That's from page 31 of the original.
31? Oh,
That's those are in our regs right now.
the affordable housing is section 316. It's
Yep.
verbatim.
Yep.
And it's long.
Just backtracking, the accessory dwelling units is brand new in this.
Huh?
Accessory dwelling units.
Yes.
Is brand new.
Right. And we defined accessory dwelling units earlier in the definitions, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I guess I just have a question. We start off with saying it's an accessory dwelling unit, and then we go in and it starts calling it an accessory apartment. Should we be consistent and just use accessory dwelling unit?
Well, how did we define it on page 9? Dwelling unit accessory. A dwelling unit that has been added onto or created within a single-family house.
So it's an accessory dwelling unit.
So we should call it an accessory dwelling unit, because that's what we have defined.
Instead of
As opposed to an accessory.
apartment, it's
Right.
accessory dwelling unit.
Because it already says it's within, added onto or within a single-family house, so. So the rest of that section is just what we already have.
Yeah, and it ends at page 47.
Yep, and then congregate communities
Is 315.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on one second. I'm not sure why we have in here, no accessory building shall be used or created for the purpose of accommodating an accessory apartment or dwelling. Why not? I don't care.
I mean, your point is well taken. There are several ones that have been created by the zoning board of appeals over time.
I mean, if you're adding onto your house or.
Well, you know, it might not be convenient to add onto the footprint in terms of
Right.
setbacks or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm not
So
really
people
sure.
make, desire to make cottages or cabins.
I don't know why we need G,
Well, then you have C, which says no accessory
dwelling.
unit shall be located in a garage.
Or
Unless
basement, unless one wall opens.
to
Is
the-
that the
Well,
one?
that's
wall-
true. I mean, that's just a
Is that
life
Just
safety
aesthetic.
thing.
I think G makes sense because it tells you that if you have a separate garage, right, you now can't use it, you can't convert it into an accessory apartment
Why not?
because the regs say so.
What? I mean, what
No,
happens?
because
What
now
happens if you have a parent who needs, and you want to bring it, you want to
Create a,
create a unit for them?
Well,
That's
do they
the-
come here for an exception? 'Cause otherwise, you can have anybody who has a separate garage, they can create this separate thing, and then they could rent it out.
But you can say that about all in-law apartments. That's the question all the time.
Well, we define an accessory dwelling unit as one that is the definition of it, sorry,
It's okay.
is that has been added onto or created within a single-family house. If that's the definition, then G basically goes against the definition of the accessory dwelling unit. Because now it's not added onto or created within a single-family house.
I think that's why it's in there. I'm just not really sure why.
I'm not so sure though, whether there's a substantive distinction between creating a new structure or changing the function of an existing structure for that purpose. What's the difference?
Well, it says no accessory building shall be used or created. It doesn't, so in other words, it does refer to what Kathleen's saying. If you take a garage and turn it into a dwelling unit, you're not building.
Or you can build a garage,
Or you could build.
or an accessory.
Yeah, but again, what's the difference if somebody builds a new structure, they could still turn that into a rental unit. It's the same risk. So why are we excluding the repurposing of an existing building, which would be less disruptive from the get-go?
We're gonna have to change the definition of accessory dwelling unit.
Yeah, where is that definition? I don't
It's
see it.
Page
9.
9.
Dwelling unit, accessory dwelling unit that has been added onto or created. Well, but it does say, I mean, to me, the dwelling unit, accessory dwelling unit should consist of a unit that includes a separate kitchen, bathing, and sleeping area. That's what I call the accessory unit.
So you want to drop the first sentence of the definition?
Well, but now it's
It says added onto or created within, well, created, period. And removed within a single-family house. I wonder what orange is. Because the only ones I've ever done around here have been in orange, and takes space out of the house. But those couple of houses happen to have the space to do it.
I think we should, I mean, what is it, the law of unintended consequences? I think we need to be careful about changing this.
Well, it's not
Without
changing
looking
it, it's
into it.
adding it.
No, we'd be changing it from how it's
Oh,
written.
proposed,
Right,
excuse me,
the
because it
proposed.
is.
Right.
What happened to the concept that, did we abandon the concept that the residents of that accessory dwelling unit should be related in some way to the people who are the owners of record of because it was an in-law apartment?
In B, on page 40, where you're talking about accessory dwelling units, it says, one of the occupants of the dwelling shall be the owner of record.
Yeah, but that's not the dwelling unit. That's not the apartment. It's not the accessory dwelling unit. It's the, so it still could be a rental unit.
Okay. So that's just referring to the main dwelling?
Yes.
So the difficulty with that kind of language from an
It's
enforcement
trying-
is that the portable DNA meter is just not available yet. It ticks when somebody's related to Jeff.
Well, even if it was, it wouldn't make a difference because it would be related by marriage. So, my in-laws.
There you go.
And sometimes you put it in even if you don't have a DNA because you still, that's really the concept of it.
Well, there are people in town who have taken in other people into their houses and taken care of them.
No more than 4 unrelated adults.
I don't think that's bad.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, so let's
but it's,
I mean,
it's not a rental apartment.
It's a density increase across all zones. And it's a subject that has been in front of this, on and off in front of the Town Planning and Zoning Commission many times. Not recently. It is, and Mr. Kaufman, you know that in other communities, it's common.
It's very common. I mean,
And if you go down to I, it says that there shall be, in no event shall there be more than 2 dwelling units on any parcel in T3C, T3D, and T3BB. I don't know what that does to A and B. Because it's almost, I don't know what that does.
Well, I mean, I'm guessing that that's because of those districts, those pieces of property are pretty small, but by the same token, we don't really want more than 2 units on any property, no matter where it is.
Well, in T3C and T3D, you currently can have a 2-family house. That's not the case in T3BB, which is only single-family residential. So it makes sense for C and D, because then otherwise you'd be allowing 3-family houses if you add an accessory apartment.
But we don't talk about A or B, so
Right.
we're saying we can do more than 2 on A and B?
No, in fairness, this section was drafted with the mind of not touching,
A and
not
B.
applying A to A and B.
Right.
But we've kind of changed.
Right. Just
So we could add that.
creating
A
some
and B.
problems.
No big deal. I mean, you could
Yeah.
add A and B.
Right, exactly, that's what I think.
Or
we
you
should
could just say, in no event shall there be more than 2 dwelling units on any parcel in a residential district.
There you
Yeah.
go.
But then you're saying that the people in T3C and T3D can't have an accessory unit. They can only have a 2-family house.
Those are small lots.
But some of them have a house, 2-family, and a garage on it. So
Do you want 3? Then the question to you. and
again,
I
the
don't
reason
care.
we're doing this is for if somebody's taking care of a parent or something like that, so.
So they have the ability to have 2 dwellings in the house to begin with, so their parent could live with them anyway.
Well, you're making a judgment call that, how do you know those 2 units aren't rented already? Kick them out. I don't think it's as easy as you just said, but I do think we should put in A and B, because I don't think we want.
Well, under the beginning part of this, it says the occupants of the dwelling one of the occupants of the dwelling shall be the owner of record, so you're never gonna rent out both units, you're only gonna rent out one in that case. So you wouldn't have 2 rental units, you'd only have 1.
If you have a 2-family house, but if you have a 2-family house, you can't rent it out. I can't rent it out to Chris.
If you're
You
having
could.
an accessory
You could.
dwelling, it says one of the occupants of the dwelling shall be the owner of record.
Remember, first of all, the accessory dwelling can only be a maximum of 600 feet, 600
650.
square feet. So you're not talking about a
Right.
2-family house
Right.
to begin with.
Right. Well,
600 feet isn't a lot of area.
No.
It isn't that much.
No, it's not.
It's a garage.
small.
It's a small
So-
garage.
Small.
Yeah, I'm gonna say
But
that's
it's a
small.
garage
So
that
for
has
someone to live in there,
Kitchen,
That's a
bathroom,
small-
sanitary
that's-
Well, the
facilities.
assumption is, that number's a little bit lower than Orange. I think Orange, let's say 750, but
okay. Because that's small. It just, trying to think of the size and how you're gonna, you think
when
you're
you've lived in New York, it wouldn't be bad.
No, but we're not living in New York, But,
That'd be a
it
million
comes
dollar
down,
home.
like you said, do you want to give them 3, how big when we're talking about the area now, is it TC, whatever, TB 22, whatever it is, and they can have 2 family there now, and we don't want to add another one on. That's just adding a garage basically onto the unit that it's on now. That's all you're doing.
Just telling you what your reg's saying, it's your decision what you want to do, but you gotta figure out what you're doing. Because you're either gonna allow no more than 2 dwellings in C and D, which means that the 2-family that they have now is all they get.
Yeah, I mean, if they go, if it's that small, and they're gonna have a garage, they're gonna be pretty close to the neighbors, and we got setbacks off of that.
Yeah.
So they'd have to come back for a variance
Setbacks
anyway.
and coverages,
Yeah.
because at that point, there's a building lot coverage.
Yeah, so I mean, would they have enough room to build something on extra? Probably not. So it'd be tight, so they'd have to come back to us for a variance anyways, they'd be, come back to somebody and say, look, it's not gonna fit, but this is what we're looking to do. So I think you're still.
And then they'd have to demonstrate hardship of land.
That's
and-
correct,
And they
yeah.
probably wouldn't get it.
Right, but that's how I'm looking at it.
That would be interesting if they didn't get it, if they were coming here to look for an accessory unit to take care of a sick parent.
If it's a variance, it doesn't come to you, it goes
Yeah,
to the
it
zoning
goes
board of
to the
appeals.
No, I know it doesn't come to me. No, don't worry.
No,
I'm
I'm
well
just saying.
aware of what has to come.
And when it goes to zoning board of appeals, the criteria for them to grant a variance is based on some unique hardship based on the qualities of that land that doesn't let them comply with the normal stuff. So typically, it's supposed to be something like slopes or wetlands or something that limits them from being able to comply with the zoning regulations. It's not supposed to be financial or anything
It's not,
like that.
well, that, I don't think that has anything to do with no, what we just said had anything to do with financial.
Thing.
Also has nothing to do with the particularities of the land.
What does?
If somebody was seeking a variance of that regulation,
Yeah.
it has nothing to do.
I mean, this is what
It
it
has to
is.
do with how much land is available for building another structure
Right.
and for parking cars of those people who have cars.
Okay, well, I think it's important that we don't allow more than 2 dwelling units in A and B. I mean, we can leave T3C in there and T3D, and it's already got 2 units, and T3BB. I don't have a problem with that if somebody wants something. They just go like everything else. If they want something that's not here, they come for a variance.
That's, yeah.
Okay, so
That's
we're
the way
gonna
I
put,
look at it.
yeah, okay. So we're gonna put A and B in there.
Or on any parcel in a residential district.
Or you could just say, or any parcel in a
Right.
residential district, and not bother listing them out.
Is T3B, oh yeah, T3BB is a residential district.
Yeah, that's up where, it's
Okay.
15,000 square feet up
I
on,
don't know.
you see Annie and Robert and,
Yeah.
okay,
So just put residential district.
it's tighter on C and D.
Okay.
So what are you doing with your definition, or are you not doing anything with your definition of
Well, we
dwelling
don't
unit
have to now.
accessory?
So we don't have to.
Because that limits it to being in the house.
Oh, yeah, well, so we don't want it to be just within the house.
So do you, in other sections, you,
Just a dwelling unit that has been added onto or created. Just leave it and cross off within a single-family house. Is that cool?
Well, how's that different from a dwelling unit?
Well, the accessory dwelling unit could be a dwelling unit, so that's created. Building a garage and you put it in the garage.
or do you just want to reference and say CLL 2, and then just leave it at that, because that tells you what the criteria for an accessory dwelling unit is. Because you've done that with some other section. Because then it's going to that section telling you the size and everything else, because that's the
Well,
big difference.
but it's in our definition. Again, I wonder why we keep doing that, but the fact is that we have still have a definition in there. The reason we're only changing this one is so that it doesn't have to be built within a single-family home. So, and we're assuming an accessory unit has a separate kitchen, bathing, and sleeping areas. I think the only thing we're taking out is that it's not part of that it doesn't have to be built within a single-family house. Just waiting for everyone to say, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
that's
It could be in the
good. Yeah,
garage.
Okay, next.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Except that on
Leave
page
them
40,
hanging.
It says accessory dwelling unit in a single-family home is the title of the section.
Number 2.
Okay, strike in single-family home.
No, just a
But
second.
then it says a single-family dwelling may be converted to allow, I mean, the whole section is about the
Converting.
accessory dwelling unit. That is not a garage, that is within a single dwelling. It's just,
Which is why C and D don't get accessory dwellings, because they're not
And it's
single.
just, and it
Because of
says
what?
a single may be converted to allow.
They can't, I'm
Any
sorry, they
zone
can't have
permitting
more
a
than 2
single-family
dwellings,
residence.
because
Right.
otherwise it's a single-family dwelling.
So now we can go back to just leaving everything alone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Except making. it-
or we have accessory dwelling unit and then accessory apartment, where the accessory dwelling unit could be that garage that's converted, but the apartment is within a, right.
You don't need to.
Well, I don't think we do either,
You don't need
but
to.
I'm just saying that we can't just,
The concept is to keep density at a certain level, right? And not allow, like, a lot of people coming in to live in in a single-family residence. Is that the concept?
No,
Is that
that-
what is the point of this? For example, if you don't have a kitchen.
If you want a parent or to move into your house and they get their own apartment, that's what this is for.
Understood, but I think it's hard to define it a little bit. I think that's what's happening. For example, can you have an accessory dwelling unit if it doesn't have a separate kitchen? So you could have a bathroom, you could have a sleeping area, and essentially it would be an accessory dwelling unit. But under our definition, it's not if it doesn't have a kitchen in it, right?
Well,
So it just
define
gets a little-
required floor area for accessory dwelling units. If it's 1 room, it's 350 square feet, 2 rooms, 425, 3 rooms, it's 600.
Could you put a kitchen, bathroom, and sleeping area as an architect in a 600 square foot
Well, you
area?
could
I
make
guess
it
you
fit.
could.
Well, actually, we did
This is what you
research on
do
this,
for
so
smart-
yes, we have. We do.
Okay.
Inside living.
I know, that's what you do. I understand.
So in answer to part of your question, right now, since you don't allow accessory apartments, when people do want to have someone come and live with them, as Terry has told you before, because a dwelling unit has those 3 legs, sanitation, sleeping, and eating, if one of those legs is removed, it's no longer a
Sure,
dwelling unit.
exactly.
So we'll have them have a commonality to the house, and they may share the kitchen, or they may share the bathroom or something, but then it doesn't become a second dwelling within it. So we've been able to help people be able to have someone who's a parent or whatever
Sure.
come and stay with them by having some commonality within the house. By having an accessory dwelling unit, you actually let them have their own separate thing with those 3 legs of the stool.
Which says it in subparagraph D. An accessory apartment, accessory dwelling unit shall be self-contained with separate
Yeah.
entrance, cooking, sanitary, and sleeping facilities.
Okay, what do you want to do? So,
I would leave accessory dwelling unit.
yeah, that's the easy part. But what about G? We're talking about taking out G. We're not going to take out G, and we're not going to change the definition on page 9. Yes, page 8. Within a single-family house.
Oh, within?
So we're just going to leave this alone. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just leave this alone. So many times. Okay, moving on.
Oh, you can move the next one, affordable housing district is 316, and it's lifted exactly from our current regs. It goes all the way to 47. And then Congress Communities, which is MM, is 315 in our current reg.
but there's some, like, organizational typos.
Typos, I didn't even
Not-
bother.
I know, but the structure of it, because on page 48, it says related services,
Where are you seeing that? Where are you looking at?
page 48,
Yeah, I got that.
Roman numeral 2 at the top, related services. the last line of that is a separate paragraph in the current regs that introduces the points 1 and 2 below.
Oh, here's Roman. No, this is.
Right, in the existing regs on page 73, C is a separate, is separate. In addition to the foregoing, the congregate community shall provide the following, which means that in the revised regs, that sentence, in addition to the foregoing, should be introduced by Roman numeral III, whatever it is. And then the 1 and 2 that are in parentheses need to actually be indented twice.
So it's over here.
And then Roman numeral 1 below 2 becomes Roman numeral 4, and Roman numeral 2 below becomes Roman numeral 5. It's just to pick up the same structure of the current section, which I think makes sense.
Oh, it becomes 3 and 4, right? Because we have 2, and then we indent 1 and 2.
1 and 2, and
then the next I becomes 3.
No. The last line on to Roman numeral 2, in addition to the foregoing, the congregate community shall provide the following. That line is supposed to be Roman numeral 3.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Got it.
And then the 1 and 2 that have a parens are supposed to be indented. And then
Okay.
Right?
I got it.
And we don't need anything about special permit anymore. That whole section was removed.
That's not in here, though. That's,
Special
Really?
on the bottom of
Oh,
page
right,
73, there's a paragraph
Right.
about special permit, but it's not in the revised regs. I don't know if we,
it's on the chart, maybe.
the chart at the beginning of section 3.
Yeah.
Congregate community special exception.
Special exception.
Okay, so it's okay. Got it.
Okay, moving along.
Yeah, the table 3.3
Yeah.
is supposed to go after Roman numeral 4, halfway down that first column. You see
Oh,
where it says
okay.
area shall be
Following-
required as measured to the outside walls? It's actually referring to that table.
Right.
Or we either move the table or we say as measured to the
I
outside
think
walls.
we should just move the table.
Per table.
Just move the
just
table.
move the table.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
opposed to saying as set forth above.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. $50?
Swimming pools, tennis courts, and other personal recreation structures. And.
Okay.
So the swimming pools is in the current regs, tennis courts and other personal recreational
not.
structures aren't. But because of that, the only piece that was carried over was light sources.
They
But
didn't.
what about plantings, fence?
Exactly. Take a look at 3.2.3 in the current regs.
Where is it, 3.2.3?
Which covers the pools.
Right, that covers the pool, but it doesn't cover
No,
tennis.
but it has just the pool about the fencing and stuff like that.
Right, that's my point.
Yes.
So we need don't we need to add that back in?
Yes.
What page is it in the regs?
In the current regs, it's on page 32.
Other criteria from page 32, right?
For
I
pools.
think that one of the reasons, I don't want to look at this, because is the thing about fences because of pools, you're not required to put a fence around a tennis court. You are required to put a fence around a pool.
Right, and so it says, C says, a pool, I mean, we can just say a pool shall be safeguarded by means of a suitable fence.
Well, that's the law.
And to reduce
Right.
noise and shall be, the pool shall be safeguarded by means of a suitable fence or other device.
Okay, so we want to put after, what is that, I? NN, is that NN1?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So then we're going to have 2,
Two,
and we're going to put in from page 32.
yeah.
Um,
It talks about the pool.
but do we want, I mean, I don't know what, I don't know what regs are for tennis courts. I mean, obviously they have to have some sort of fence, but do we want plantings around that also for both the aesthetics and to reduce noise? I can't imagine plantings are gonna reduce noise. You're still gonna hear them. And then lot lines, I mean, I don't know what the,
all that stuff that's on, I mean, well, first of all, you don't have to put a fence around a tennis. I mean, I would.
you can run even more after the ball if you want. There you go.
Good exercise.
Ball boy.
Yeah.
So I would put in, so then I would put in B. So you're gonna put in B and you're gonna put in
C.
Well, this talks about the pool. Our thing here is swimming pools, tennis courts, and other.
D would should cover everything.
Right. So you're gonna put in B and D. I mean, the saying has to be said. It's not up to us about putting a fence around a pool.
There are expensive alternatives. There's a power cover.
So, okay, well, seriously, so you're telling me that you don't have to put a fence around it if you put a power cover on it?
It's correct.
It's the only town I know that does that.
It's a state of Connecticut building code.
Every job we do, power covers and fences.
I recommend the same. But
So we should say C. We should include C.
if you want a fence, say a fence. Either this section says a suitable
Fence
fence or other device.
Or other device.
I'm shocked, but, okay. Of course, you know that zoning enforcement officer shows up, says you have to do a fence and a cover, you do it.
You could have a wall, a very big wall.
Beautiful.
Huge, beautiful wall.
Still gotta get in there. The wall, now you gotta get in.
Okay, so you're gonna add in, put in
And
B,
then
C,
Mexico
and
pay
D,
for it.
Yeah, that's right.
Your neighbor will
But
pay
D
for
should
it.
include,
on page 51.
should be not
Get
just
a
limited to
chopper,
pool.
he'll dig a hole underneath
Right.
it.
That'll be the end of it.
The recreational, whatever it's called.
But it says a pool should be safeguarded by means of a suitable fence, so that the tennis court doesn't.
No, I'm talking about D.
Oh, yeah,
That should include.
right.
What other personal recreational structure are we envisioning
All
here?
sports court,
You got basketball courts now with, and they have.
all sports courts.
They play
pretty
pickleball
common.
on them or whatever you
Shuffleboard.
call it.
Can't believe you didn't get one for your kids.
Pickleball.
Hockey.
Oh, that's big.
Hockey.
That's right, there are people that put in hockey rinks
There we go.
in the
Okay.
yards.
Right there on Castaway Road.
There you go, that's right.
You know?
Screening.
Well, he's got a little heated hut.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, next, anything else on 51?
Yeah. Because now we go to retail.
Keep going. Jeff Kennedy gave me parameters on how long we could stay in there.
I'll clear my throat about 9 o'clock.
Okay,
That,
sorry.
3 should go into section RR. That's firearms.
Yeah.
We have a specific provision on firearms
That's true.
sales. So it really should.
state required
Retail?
for firearms.
Oh, yeah, firearms, but we have a specific provision on firearms, that's all I was saying. So it really doesn't.
Uh,
So that would go under the supplemental additional conditions of approval, number 3 from
Yes.
00.
Okay.
The design standards for stores over 20,000 square feet. Do we have any store other than the, well, that's not a retail
No,
store.
but you could build one. How many square feet is Crest?
That's not a retail store.
Could be.
Yeah. You don't sell automobiles. And
Yeah,
then
no.
somebody else went in there.
I used to.
Next is liquor establishments, that's under 3.12, 3.12.
So why do we include hotel when we don't permit hotels?
Well, we have a definition.
For
If
I
it's
don't
a-
think we do.
Motels,
Yeah, but
We have
I
motels and
remember
inns.
something was a hotel, if it's over,
so many rooms.
yeah, so many rooms, didn't we go through that whole thing?
Right, we have that, hotel more than 20 sleeping rooms, but then we don't permit it anywhere.
We don't permit it anywhere.
Right, so we said we should delete it.
Okay.
So we should delete B under PP,
And put
I
in
would-
motels and inns
Yeah.
instead.
Yeah,
or just leave B and just put motel and inns.
Take your pick. Are convenience stores allowed to sell beer?
Yeah, Blue Check sells beer, don't they? Or used to.
I don't know. I have no
It still
idea.
does.
Still does, right? Yeah.
Where is the
is
convenience?
that a convenience store or
Where's the
a-
convenience store?
I don't, that's
Oh.
what I'm saying.
Good.
Was Woodbridge originally a dry town?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So what year I'm just curious, when did this come in?
I feel like it was a couple years.
I'm not
ago.
looking at, I'm not looking at you, Jeff, 'cause Terry, do you know? I'm just curious.
The Antonio's.
It actually was in my time frame that it changed. Because the way the vote went, it allowed the inclusion of more things than what the original vote was for, if I have it correct.
It always allowed golf clubs to have a liquor permit. The ones, us older ones we remember on Selden Plaza, there was a restaurant that had a liquor permit.
No, we didn't
The
have
bowling
any
alley.
restaurants in town that had liquor.
No, the bowling alley had it, Blue Check had it, and the golf courses had it, and that was it. And so then they opened it, so like
Where's the
restaurants.
bowling alley? I mean, that's different than Blue Check or.
How do you bowl and have beer?
No, I understand that, but.
So then it opened it to other things like the restaurants. And actually, package stores, I guess,
I don't think we presently allow a package.
package store.
I've
Never
never,
had one in town.
I don't think we allow it now.
It's not allowed now?
I don't think so.
No,
So should we take out D?
Well, if you don't have
Yeah.
a package store. It'd be okay to have a good wine store in this town.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be the worst thing that ever happened.
No, it
Well,
wouldn't.
with Amity Liquor, I don't.
There is a manufacturer of wine.
wanna have another
Pardon?
wine store.
There is a manufacturer of wine where you can buy wine by the bottle.
Going on Ford Road.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Savino's. Whatever.
So it should be manufacturer of beer and wine.
Yeah,
Or-
you're right.
wine
or
has, wine is a different thing within the liquor, that, the liquor thing as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Can we double check that for you?
Yeah.
Because I think it's its own thing.
I'm sure there's separate regulations under the state for wine versus liquor versus
And
beer.
hard cider and
Yeah.
all sorts of stuff.
And manufacturer of beer, maybe that should be brewer, really manufacturer.
That's the way it's written within the statute, as a manufacturer.
Connecticut statute.
Yep.
Do we need both F and I?
Don't think so.
Why don't you
I
just
think
make,
so.
all you need is,
Oh, no, the reason we added I, because it's and brew pub. So you can either have a manufacturer of beer, which is what originally New England Brewery was, and then when they added the brew pub, they came and amended your regulations to add I in.
oh, okay. So the manufacturer, it's not or, it's,
It's and, yeah.
got you.
So do you want to keep package stores in? Just asking, so I know what I'm doing.
Well, are these establishments that are defined by the Connecticut General Statutes?
Yes.
I mean, we don't. Would we allow a package store by special exception?
I don't believe.
I might, a wine store or something like that, you know. The winery in Ford Road, you can buy wine there. What, does that come, is that part of Woodbridge?
Yeah.
That is Woodbridge.
But you can't buy nips of alcohol.
How do you define a package store?
At the wine store.
Correct. But we could at a package store.
Oh, wow.
Well, it's special exception, right? So they'd have to come in.
Is it in here? I'm looking on the
I'm
chart. Where is it on
looking.
the chart?
I don't think it's,
I thought we had,
So in our present regulations on page 68, 3.12.1,
68?
68 in that present, page 68.
we just have liquor establishment on in the bulk table,
In 2006
Where do you
is
see
the,
that?
is the answer
Which
to
page
your
is that?
question.
22.
PP.
Actually, on 33.3.QQ, did we change that square footage there? It's supposed to be, it says 20,000 to 100. We were doing 20,000 to 50. Did I already get picked up?
Did we move
No,
the fire
because
rooms?
in your retail thing, it goes up to 100,000,
Maybe I thought we were
the section that you just went through.
Okay, let's see. Liquor establishment. Well, liquor establishment is all special exception. Is that what someone
And
asked?
in our current regs, we do have package store.
We do.
Okay.
Grocery store, hotel,
Restaurant, package store.
cafe.
All right, so we leave package
manufacturer
store.
beer.
Okay,
Leave
so let's
package store.
keep going here.
And, but we don't allow a hotel.
Yeah, I've switched that to,
Okay, so
Motel.
that's Motel Inn, got it.
yeah, Motel Inn.
And then the 100,000 square feet, we gonna change that to 50?
Well, I was just looking, because I thought under retail, it says the gross floor area of any individual retail store shall be limited to a maximum of 100,000 square feet. So if you're gonna change it in the table, we've gotta change
Okay, so let's check this out.
Oh. 002.
Can anybody tell me a building that has 1,000,
I'm looking at it
retail
right
store that has a maximum, that has 1,000 square feet, just so I can,
1,000 or 100,000?
100,000.
sorry, 100,000.
Like a Whole Foods
Okay.
or a Super Stop and Shop, like how much square?
That's what I'm looking up right now.
Well, that's like 2 acres. Basically, that's what it is, 2 acres under cover.
Well, that's 90,000 square feet.
Yeah, well, 10,000.
Yeah, so Stop and
Actually,
Shop,
it's less than 90.
Yeah, Stop and Shop probably,
Right.
yeah.
Whole Foods is smaller, probably a
Yeah,
little
I'd say
smaller.
Stop and Shop would be pretty
Yeah.
close.
Okay.
A modern super stop and shop averages 65,000 square feet.
So,
Wow.
Talking super Walmart.
Well, if this keeps out Walmart, we should lower the number.
Yeah, so do we really want a entity, a retail structure like that?
I just need to know what you want to edit.
Right.
Well, we're working on it.
What do we currently have?
250, I think.
Really?
Well, Walmart's sizes vary from 30,000 to 206,000. Average store is 105. So I say we do 75,000.
It's got a lot of public comment.
Because I will tell you, all these box stores are going to get smaller pretty soon anyway, because no one even goes there anymore.
Yeah, but everybody's shopping online.
Yeah.
Right.
So you go 75,000, still a good, that's a big
Still
structure.
big.
I don't think, do we have anything that big now in retail in town? I don't think we do.
Well, how many square feet is like where Crest is? Because that's the only place you're going to build something that's not that big.
Yeah.
Not even that big, Crest.
Crest isn't that big, they just got they got a workshop in the back
Yeah,
where
that's,
they repair.
yeah, you have to do all the bays in the back.
Yeah,
That's
you have to do
pretty
the
big.
base, but you can't even see that from the road, really.
No, but it's.
If you turn Crest into a full retail, is that what you're talking about?
That'd be about the only spot you could do it, or unless you moved up
Let's just start knocking everything
on
down.
Bradley Road there or something like that, and then started doing stuff.
What
in
about
there.
the whole plaza where Katz's is? If you had all of those, everything that's attached, right?
Yeah,
So Katz
that-
is, all those
okay.
next,
Well, that isn't 100.
right?
I mean, like,
That is
Isn't-
100,
It's not,
no.
it's not
Okay.
nowhere near like
But there are lands on Woodbridge Village and behind One Bradley Road, there's empty lots that are susceptible to this sort of thing.
Right.
If,
On one
if you
Bradley
believe
Road,
in,
there's a 5-acre parcel in the
if you,
back there.
if you believe in large retail, which I think is another, with Amazon and others.
Large retail in Woodbridge. Good place for it.
well, actually,
So
it's one of the
75,000.
busiest- I gotta go.
I think you could split the
It's not
difference
a
between
question.
150 and go 75.
75,
I
that's what
That's
agree.
Jeff
what I'm
said.
thinking,
So
75.
on both the table on 22
Right.
and here, 51,
Again, all these stores are gonna get smaller anyway, but still,
right?
when they're empty, they'll be smaller empty.
Right. Then you got
So
So
all the
where,
liquor is-
so this is seven, so this will be 75, I'd put 50, unless I got that from something.
I would have gone for 50.
Well, then you can't have a grocery store. So,
Small Whole Foods.
Trader Joe's.
oh, actually, I did, actually, that number came from the Whole Foods Shopping Center in Milford,
Milford?
I think is 100,000 square feet.
That whole plaza there?
Or the store, no.
That's
Wait,
where the
wait.
100,000 comes
The
from.
whole, the
The whole
entire
plaza.
plaza is
With
100,000?
the parking space and everything, or just
No.
the building?
Just the building.
Oh, no, that's not,
All those stores, where Plan B is to Whole Foods?
no, no, no,
Okay.
no. Whole Foods itself is smaller than Stop and
Yeah.
Shop down here.
I've done some things with Stop and Shop, and they try and put restrictions on 40,000 or less, and that they'll accommodate a Whole Foods, Trader Joe's
Yeah.
type thing, but they don't want competition from a supermarket.
Okay, I've got
So you're sticking with 75? Or are you going to 50?
Do I hear 50? Do I hear 50?
Wait, I'm gonna find
Do I hear
it.
75?
I like 75.
Yeah, I like 75.
Fine.
Seems like some.
It's better than the 250 that you had before.
250,000 before?
Yes.
Wow, that's big.
Well,
Yep.
Yeah,
The small airport.
yeah.
All right.
Guns.
Then we go to firearms, which is 318 currently.
And under number 5, we're gonna add in that number 3
Yeah.
from 00. Okay.
Yeah, handle drinks, I have it.
So VV is something you have to consider whether you want to strike it or not
Where are you looking?
on page 53, because that was covered under the prior section that you looked at on storage.
But this is broader.
That's, what's there is what you currently have.
Oh, yeah. Also in our chart, when we talk about schools, we need to put in schools. I don't know why it's just
I
called
don't know
business
why
schools.
it's, well, I don't even understand why it's here. Why, as opposed to just reserved for future use or something like that.
Because somebody wants to put in the secretarial school or.
But it's not saying anything about it.
It's in the chart.
It's just in the chart, which would be there anyway. But it's not saying what you can do with the school, or is any limitation or anything.
We don't have to say what it's a school.
Well, under TT storage.
Yeah.
It's the same concept. It's
I don't know, school's a little more self-explanatory than storage.
just schools reserved for future use, but anyway, it's,
Well, I wouldn't put business schools in, I would just put schools.
I put schools, because you got tech schools today,
Yeah.
you have all kinds of schools.
So frequently, we have business schools presently. They're
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
They're considered office occupancies because the students are adults.
Yeah.
And so it's really an office occupancy as opposed to a school.
Yeah.
Schools are narrowly defined as to the age of the attendees.
So why is it limited to business schools now?
It's not.
I don't think it should be, we just.
I don't think you should limit
That's why we just
business.
changed it.
I think
Yeah.
it's just schools,
It's right, exactly.
Yeah, I would just make it school.
yeah.
Okay. But that's not what you were asking, is it, Chris?
Oh, no, I was looking further down to VV, that outside storage section.
which is
You
three.
already have
I see.
that
Yeah,
in that other section that you reviewed
Exactly.
earlier.
But it's different.
It's different, so you gotta figure out which one you want, because
Mm-hmm.
otherwise you strike this.
Well, the other one is about vehicle storage.
No, it also covers
Where is
trailers
the- where is
and
the other
stuff like
page
that.
38. I think.
It was,
Go to 38.
it's not,
Starts on 37.
it starts on 37 here. But that one is about
It's commercial vehicle.
commercial vehicles.
And then in
Storage
8, it's the
accessory.
storage of travel trailers, campers, boats, recreational vehicles. And I mean,
So some of the differences are is that presently we don't allow travel trailers, boats, other sorts of things to be stored in the Residence A zone.
unless they're screened.
Correct.
And
That would be a fence or shrubbery or
plantings,
whatever,
opaque
correct?
fencing, or other appropriate
Yeah,
screening
okay.
devices.
And in some neighborhoods, we are more sensitive to this than others.
Right.
There's one street in town, if a boat on a trailer drives onto that street, I don't think there's 20 minutes before we get a complaint. It's just interesting. Whereas other areas, other neighborhoods, you wouldn't believe what goes on.
I
and we
never
don't
see
hear a
boats
thing.
around this town, on people's property. Yours.
Yeah,
But you have a big piece of property.
Yeah,
It's a little different.
there's a lot of area.
But if it's screened, you're okay.
We do have a magic shrub in this section. Well, it talks about a kind of screening that can roll within a certain size. It becomes, by the way, the screening becomes a 6-foot-high fence. So, as a practical matter.
Yeah, but this is kind of what we wanted Perkins to do on his property, and it didn't happen. Okay, what are you gonna do? I think the thing is about VV is outside something. It talks about different things other than just vehicles.
So, in the table, it says under II, it says vehicle storage, see outside storage. And it's by special exception in GB. I think we need to consolidate these two
Yeah,
sections,
it's
II and
VV.
VV.
They do overlap.
Yeah, not 100%, but you're right, and it's just,
But looking at the,
I mean, II is about, I mean, VV doesn't include T2. Right, we just need to consolidate both
What
of them.
page is II on?
On page, starts on 37, and then the bulk table, it refers you to VV.
Oh, and then VV. So that's what needs to combine. You get that, Chris?
So you're gonna, what are you doing? Are you moving everything into II? Because they have, in the chart, it's two different names. In the chart, it's commercial. no. In the chart, 3.3 II is supposed to be,
Vehicle storage. And-
Vehicle
and it says see
storage.
outside storage.
and it's only in GB.
Right.
And yet, when
As-
we
Well-
look at II on 30, whatever the heck it is,
37, it talks about residential, T2, T3C,
yeah.
T3D, T3BB, and we added parking and storage. So the two sections need to be cleaned up, so they're consistent.
because it's,
It just,
because
and
II only deals with residential parking,
Yeah, pirates.
doesn't deal with, commercial parking in GB at all.
But commercial vehicle storage is a subcategory of outside storage.
Right, so I mean, historically, we've always been working with what VV is in here, and I don't know that we've particularly had an issue with it, in a sense. So the question is, if you look at your chart, and 3.3 II is dealing with vehicle storage,
Right.
and the only place that it's dealing with it is in the general business district, then II in here isn't relevant at all.
I think that it would be useful to conflate the two sections into one cogent.
Well, then we
But
can fill in the
on the
rest of it.
chart, they're two different things.
And where is it set? Where is it on the chart twice? I have,
3.3 II.
I got that.
Is vehicle storage
I got that.
only allowed in GB. And then you've got that 3.3 VV, which interestingly enough is allowed as of right. And then it also refers to section
I have
UU,
3.AA.
which allows warehouse
CC.
storage in development 2.
Where do you see 3.3 BB?
Bottom
In
of
the
page
chart,
22.
on page 22.
Right, it's contradictory and confusing. I think we need to make, I propose we make one section that's all encompassing. And then depending on what we put in each little square, we're still gonna put SE for, you know, by special exception for, or we can leave it, we can still leave vehicle storage 33II on the chart, and we still say see outside storage, and we still put special exception in GB.
Because, I'm sorry, I don't have my regs with me. In the existing regs, there's a whole section that deals with, before you get to what becomes VV in this, that deals with storage outside.
You have
for, like,
outside, yeah, in the current regs, it's outside storage in residential districts, and then outside storage in non-residential districts.
And the non-residential addresses dealerships where they may have cars parked outside and all that, and we're missing that from here.
No, you're not.
Is that in another section?
It's page 54.
So we have to flip the page.
If you go to page 54, it's there.
Oh,
Okay. In all districts other than T1, T2, and SD1. Sorry.
I didn't do that. She's gonna shoot you, but
Okay. It was only a second time.
that's still not the one I'm talking about. In the existing regs, there's a section that deals with outside storage in, oh, wait a minute, display of new or used merchandise for retail. So this is, the title, this whole thing has to get worked out, because it starts out with outside storage, and those are only residential things that are listed, but then when you get down to C, it's talking about display of new or used merchandise
Yeah.
for retail sale, and that should be, and then it gets into GB, GBA, and so that's, it's pulled in the commercial aspect into a thing that's titled residential.
And the next section talks about automobiles. The next sentence, literally.
Right.
Do they talk anything about trailers? You know, we have, having a city trailer there now. I mean,
Right. Well, that's permitted.
Right, I'm just saying.
It says
that
the outdoor display of new or used motor vehicles for sale or retail sale or for rent shall be permitted at all hours in GB, GBA, BI, and Dev
But
1.
it's not a motor vehicle.
Yes, it is.
That the trailer's not.
He contended at the hearing that it is.
Okay, that's
Consider
good.
it
No, I
motor
just want to make sure he's covered. I know he's doing well, so we just, I just want to make sure we don't change something.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden now it's not legit.
Mm-hmm.
But it almost looks like C should go into, except that they allow it in GB, GBA, BI, and Dev 1, and we're only allowing it in.
Well, B is 3.72 in the current regs, and everything else falls under it in the current regs, including C and D and E and F. Right? So B in the current regs is entitled outside storage in non-resident districts. And everything that follows it is under it in current regs. Trash is separate. Section
I
2.
would go back to the current regs and just change the numbering.
Change the numbering again, yeah.
Yeah.
So then, are you keeping II?
Well, I mean, this section VV is 3.7. Is II new?
Yeah. In these regs, II is all new.
It just seems that it's a form of outside storage. And in the table, it even says, see outside
I
storage.
think it should be melded in, one should be melded into the other.
Yep.
I don't care which way it goes.
Okay, we're on 56.
55 is, the telecommunication facility is existing 317.
Right.
Yep. All pretty much
Okay,
And
so it
that's-
continues right through 56 and 57.
And then, that's it, both regulations.
You wanna go back and redo this? Okay, so let's think about this. We have 4.0.
Good place to stop, man.
I think it's a good place to stop.
I didn't say we weren't stop. I didn't say we weren't going to stop.
Oh, I
I'm just
didn't look
saying
at
I'm trying to.
I didn't look at 4. I know.
Well, I'm trying to lay out
What, for next time?
a game plan
I'm
and whether we
game.
should do an additional meeting. I think we should try to do another meeting for next month. Otherwise, we're making points.
So 4 currently is signs and artificial light. Where's all the bulk and dimensional data currently, Chris? That's in the new 4.
That's in section 3 in the existing regs.
Oh, but there's so many pages of it, it can't all be in 3. Really?
But when you reference it, that's what you're looking at.
Okay.
So are there any dates you want me to poll people on for availability? Or?
But,
19, 20, 21. Then we go away that week. Is school closed that week?
On 18
It was 18 and 19.
Hard week for me.
Yeah.
I have something the 19th and the 21st already.
So let's look at the 20th and then the 26th, 27th, 28th,
It's a better week.
I'm away week,
which would,
the 27th to March 5th.
Florida?
I was supposed to be there this month, I ain't going.
Good for you.
so he might be able to do 25th or the 26th.
It would be better if it was earlier in the week, because then 4th.
We have our next meeting.
Next meeting.
Next meeting's March 4th, right?
Yep,
So what are you telling me?
it's better earlier in the week rather than later.
I agree. Let's do it. Because this is going to take more than 1 week. And we still have more to do. Did you get that? No.
I'm going to try the 25th or the 26th. So I'll send an email out to everybody and then I'll forward it to you and you'll tell me.
All right. Sounds good.
Mr. Chairman, if we could be reminded that the Connecticut Bar Association is offering a seminar for municipal land use agencies, boards and commissions at Wesleyan. I believe you attended one year, is that right?
And Yanni's going.
Okay,
and
so
I
if there's
was-
anybody else who's interested, we have application
And
forms.
we have a ZBA member who's going to.
That's great.
So if anybody else wants to go, let me know and I gave you that information, but
Yeah, you did.
So we should be looking at 4 and 5. 5's pretty easy.
So optimistic.
All right, so I guess no one's coming here to present,
I would think not.
guess we'll wait for next month on that one. I don't blame them for thinking they didn't have to present again, but.
I move that we approve the minutes of the special meeting in January.
Yeah, actually, I would rather go back and read these minutes before
The 23rd are short, that's why I'm approving those, but not the ones in December. December I want to read, but this one's really short.
Which one is that one?
23rd of January?
And also February 4th is short.
Or
Oh, that's
February
today.
4th. No, that's today.
I thought that was the minutes.
Okay, is there a second? Discussion?
Which one was this, January 23rd?
January 23rd.
It's one page.
I abstain.
All those in favor say aye. Opposed?
Abstention.
Fireplace.
And we'll do the next one next time.
And hold on to your packet for the presentation so we don't have to hand them out again. Or we guess we can give them back to you, right?
Whatever you wish.
Yeah, actually, what?
I'll hold it.
Okay.
I didn't get it.
Bless you.
Thank you.
We'll tell Rob you needed more, you ran out.
We'll
get you one.
Get you one.
Thank you.
We'll get you one too.
We'll get you one too, so Yanni and.
Yes, sir, motion to adjourn?
I move to move.
Second, third, fourth.
Any discussion? Good.
Yep, thank you.
See folks on the third.